Welcome to the Drop the Needle podcast, your backstage pass to the mystical realm. I'm your host, Jim Allstott, and here, gifted souls step up to the mic sharing their spiritual journey. We're hitting the high notes and the low notes of their awakening, creating a symphony of enlightenment. This isn't just another interview show. This is where divine insights are channeled and universal truths are revealed. So crank up your stereo and sit back, because who knows, this just might help you compose the next transformative chapter of your soul's purpose. Are you ready? Let's go. Welcome back. This is the Drop the Needle podcast. I'm Jim Allstott. My guest today has been connecting people with the other side for over 35 years. A third-generation intuitive, angel medium, author, and Reiki master teacher who proves that warriors come in all forms. She even has a black belt to back it up. Welcome, Miss Connie Smock, warrior of light. Welcome, Connie.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Jim. I'm happy to be here. So thank you.
Me too. I'm happy you're here, and thank you for being so flexible. I really, really, truly appreciate that. And Connie has really bent over backwards to make this happen. So thank you. Okay. If you're good with it, I'd like you to let everyone know a little bit about you, your background, where you grew up, and life before becoming the warrior of light.
Sure. So I grew up with all of this as my normal. This is the whole spirituality. My mom was an amazing, is, I say, because she is my guide now on the other side, an amazing intuitive healer. Yeah, energy worker. She was into the Soma mind control in the 70s when it was probably first came out, I think, around that time. I'm not sure when it first came out, but anyway, she was heavily into that. Her whole life was spirituality. So my upbringing wasn't your traditional mom who was doing all these things traditional moms do.
PTA lunch, yeah.
Nope. We were all spirituality, which I absolutely love now. At the time, and she was a great mom, don't get me wrong. And I'm very grateful for how we were raised because of who I am now. And obviously this is a huge part of her that I can bring forward. And she used to always say one of her things that she wanted to be was like leave a legacy, like with the kids and stuff, of who she was and what she did. And she had written some books, never really got published right up until she actually passed. But anyway, she wrote a book, which in the 80s, I don't know why this is being brought up, but it is, but in the 80s about, back then, it was before the vampire things got hot, but it wasn't like a vampire scary thriller. It was a comedy and a romance where she saw Goldie Hawn being played in there and different characters and actors and actresses, and it's action. It's actually really, really good. She had given money to who she thought was an agent. They stole her book. So she wrote this back in the 80s. Yeah. So right before she passed, I actually got it published. So anyway, that was my mom. We grew up with, our games were Psychic Candyland. So we played Candyland, but you couldn't move until you guessed the color or saw the color ahead of time. So it took hours to play Candyland. So yes.
Yeah. That's so cool though. Holy cow.
Yeah, and different games like intuitive games. We played a bunch of those growing up. We grew up in Michigan, in Taylor, Michigan. And then I went into the corporate world, but always did this on the side. And I constantly just kept learning. When most people were watching TV in their 20s, my spare time, I loved self-help. So I would read books and listen to audios and do programs and take certification courses. That's why I have so many, is because I just can't, it's more because I just can't stop learning. And I realize, and the more I learn, the more I realize what I don't know. So every class, right? It's like every class that I take, I learn something new from it. So when I teach a class, I incorporate all of the really cool tools that I learned from all these different modalities and
Right.
techniques.
Right. Right.
So then that developed corporate, doing this part-time and teaching spirituality out of my basement 20, 25 years ago, I think it
Which
was.
is also very cool.
We would get together every Thursday. It was free. We just got together, like-minded people, and we would teach. At that point, there were different things that I did charge for, but
Hmm.
just to get together and practice and do different things and develop our gifts and whatnot. I was born more clairaudient, which is all hearing, but it's in my own voice. Makes me feel like I have ADD. I know I
Uh,
do, but is it really ADD,
Join the club.
right?
Right here.
Or
Yeah.
is it spirit? Because spirit, that's how spirit communicates. It's in your own voice, and it's a whisper. It's like it literally is like a thought. So there's very fine line between your thought and spirit coming through. You really can't tell the difference unless you're intuitively picking up on it. So these kids coming in who are very highly sensitive physically, clairsentient, and then the
Right.
clairaudient, right? So
Yeah.
I developed the gifts. Was I born probably more intuitive? Yes, especially in school. It was really hard for me to concentrate because of the clairaudient. But I
Right.
developed the other clairs, like the clairvoyance, being able to see. I don't physically see them in 3D spirit. I see them in my mind's eye. Like I'll
Okay.
get fleeting attributes. They speak in symbols a lot. So what may mean nothing to me would mean something to you. I have a great example of that. I was doing a reading and so I see, hear, and feel. But again, I see in my mind's eye or a symbol or some attribute of the loved one on the other side or of the person who I'm reading or
Hmm.
of someone who's here who's connected to the person who I'm reading. And I heard hickory dickory dock. And normally when I see when somebody has a grandfather clock, I just see the clock part. That's it. So they give me new symbols every reading, pretty much like every day almost. And
Wow.
so I have to sometimes figure it out. It's like spirit charades.
Yeah,
And
on the fly. Yeah, that's good.
yeah. So I said, normally they show me a clock, but it feels like it goes to a grandfather clock. I go, do you have a clock of your dad's? She goes, I do. She goes, but my son has it. I said, is it hickory? She said, yeah. I said, well, I'm trying to figure out though, the mouse ran up the clock. I said, was there a mouse at your son's house or something? Why are they bringing up a mouse? And she's like, no. She goes, oh my gosh, Connie. She said, the clock is at my son's house, but it's hanging in the mouse room. They call it the mouse room. So that's how
Oh,
her dad got to the clock being at the son's in the mouse room. Hickory dickory
oh my
dock, the mouse ran up
gosh.
the clock. You know, I know. So sometimes it takes a
Wow,
little
wow, wow.
exploration to figure out what spirit is
Yeah.
trying to get to, but that's called validating information. That's called
Right.
evidentiary mediumship, right? That's something that no one would ever know that it's hanging up in the mouse room. It's not something somebody could look up,
Right.
right?
Right. The mouse room. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
so I have a couple of questions from what you were talking about, if that's okay.
yeah,
Okay. So one of them was you had mentioned kids and sensitivity now, and um, are you of the mindset that kids nowadays are more sensitive or open to this than maybe they were before?
absolutely. There's a couple things
Really?
going
Okay.
on. Yeah. So these kids coming in who are super, super sensitive, I'm getting chills even. That's part of clairsentient. It's called
Hmm.
psychic chills. It's your body's way of saying something is true. So these kids coming in are not only coming in born naturally intuitive, they came here at this time. They agreed to come in to elevate the earth's vibration, to help with all of our ascension and our spiritual evolution. And more importantly, the energies are supporting it. So, what took me decades to be able to achieve, people are doing it overnight or instantaneously, spontaneous awakenings
Wow.
and spiritual awakenings, and having these gifts just kind of, I'm going to say, into them quickly,
Mm-hmm.
which as long as their physical body can handle that energy. Um, and I think that this is also important to talk about too. So remind me to talk about that part too, about the physical body holding that energy. Anyway, the energies are supporting these types of abilities. So clairvoyant, clairsentient, feeling, hearing, seeing, all of the above. And so these kids are really, I would say, struggling because they don't understand it, and they're super super sensitive to all the energies around them. The veil is much thinner than what it's ever been before between us and the other worlds. They can feel spirit, they can sense spirit, they can hear spirit, they can see spirit. All kids
Wow.
are born with these abilities. Some are born with one or more gift. The ability may be stronger, whether it's clairvoyant, clairsentient, which is feeling, or the hearing, or claircognizant, which is just a knowing. But the physical body, oh, go ahead. We're going to say
No,
something.
no, 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 no. I was just thinking about where uh, with kids these days, in not like, oh, kids these days in a negative thing. I'm thinking about my kids in that ADHD. Very
Mhm.
quick to diagnose with that. Very quick to diagnose with different disorders, and almost dismissing spirituality as being
Yeah.
an option in that mix, you know. And I know that we talked about previously that bipolar uh, diagnosis is, you know, one of those things that comes up. And I know Pat Longo um, wrote a book, and Pat was a lovely, lovely lady, a mentor to myself and many, many others. But she wrote a book called The Gifts Beneath Your Anxiety. And she talks about the misdiagnosis of bipolar, because thinking that there was something that the child was bipolar, as opposed to being able to hear the voices, because that's one of the things that he had discussed is, I hear these voices talking to me, but they're not me, but they are me. And, you know, not able to really explain or describe that. I don't know. It was just kind of interesting to me that it's going on right now, and there's no consideration really for that, or very little. I think you probably have to find the right person.
Absolutely. And there's a time and a space for both. Let's take the spirituality aspect of the bipolar. There's a couple things going on with bipolar. Absolutely. I feel that there's unprocessed emotions or suppressed emotions, and anger
Hmm.
is always going to look for an outlet. So one little trigger
Right.
can flare somebody very quickly. And these emotions that aren't processed, that's part of it. The second part is, absolutely, there are so many energies that affect us that we don't even realize. There's things called interdimensionals that move in and out of dimensions, and if you try to clear them, regular traditional sage won't clear that. It's something that you need to, there's a whole process you have to do to
Hmm.
remove those. They're everywhere. You just don't want them in your energy field, and they can't live in a space of love. So when you're giving off love, and you're literally in a space of love and sending love to people and things, can't it won't feed it. It doesn't want to be around that person. So it'll go to the next person. And if we're not aware of that, these lower energies, that's just one example. These
Hmm.
lower energies, their job is to throw people off of their game, throw off the spiritual game, get them to I'm going to say think negatively, and to keep them in this space. And it's up to us to be those spiritual warriors, to be that warrior, right? This is one of the
Right.
reasons why called myself warrior of light, is because bringing in the light, moving from fear to love, coming from love base, regardless of
Hmm.
what is happening, coming from that love space, that
Hmm.
is what dispels the negativity. One match or one little candle can light up a whole room. So if
Right.
if
Right.
we're this bright light, if each one of us, Gandhi, right, be the change that you
Mm-hmm.
wish to see in the world, spreading that love. When we
Mm.
feel negativity, energy and motion stays in motion. So bringing this light in, and acknowledge, and trying to get this I'm going to say I don't want, I wanted what came into my mind, which was spirit, right? Because spirit
Mm-hmm.
always projects things. Casting out the light, casting out that, projecting the light and casting out the negativity.
Hmm.
And the negativity will feed on our negative emotions. The negative emotions feeds the negativity, and it makes the person more
Frequency,
negative.
vibration. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
and then it keeps the cycle going very strong, and then it feeds the negativity. The negativity gets stronger, which then gives us
Hmm.
more negative energies and thoughts. It'll make you think things that you normally wouldn't think of, drugs, turning to drugs and or alcohol because they can't take that vibration, the sensitivity of these kids coming in as well. Or some may feel like they don't want to be here on earth anymore. And so these bipolar, I want to be very careful of this because I know there's a
Mm-hmm.
time and a space for medications and people do need
100%.
it,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
But like you said, there's a combination of both. There's a spirituality component too. And if we're not getting to the root cause of either the suppressed anger of what is going on within the person or these energies that are affecting us, even what's called wayward spirits or earthbounds, or they're called waywards or earthbounds, uncrossed souls, they're basically souls that have not gone to the light. They feel heavy. They make you feel like you have anxiety.
Hmm.
It'll feel
Okay.
pressure on the chest. It will make your heart race.
Wow.
They can make it a little difficult to breathe, like shallow breathing. It has the exact same symptoms as anxiety. And I don't have anxiety, but I know when when start to feel that energy coming up, I'm like, oh, someone's not crossed.
Yeah.
And I'll start, like just now, I couldn't breathe for a quick second. All of these bright lights like you, these kids who are bright lights, people who are empaths, people who are always trying to help, who always are shining their bright light,
Mm-hmm.
they are attracted. These energies are attracted to that. They're attracted to all. So people who,
These feed off
and we
of
attract
those
them.
energies.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
attract them because they see the bright light.
Wow.
And so your people who, anyone here who's watching this is going to be a bright light. So they are
Yes.
attracting these types of energies. And it's really learning how to protect your energy field, physically getting strong too, to hold that
Yes.
energy.
Yes. So it's very interesting that you said that, and because as you know, I do pre-show interviews with people,
Yes.
just phone calls most of the time, but I ended up doing a Zoom with a person and their significant other. And right before the Zoom, I was doing a voiceover for a meditation that I was, commissioned to do, and it was about a pineal activation, right? So I literally pushed stop and hit the join Zoom and went right into this. And the person that we were interviewing, and I had one of my friends hop on who was more of an expert with extraterrestrial beings and things of that nature, and communications and yada yada. So right in the middle of this interview, this discussion, they started to channel, and when that happened, something happened to me,
Hmm.
and it was like all of a sudden I felt very heavy, like somebody had literally put their hands on my shoulders and dug in nails into my torso, into my chest, and just held me down, and had a difficult time breathing. And I just sat there, and the person that was on the Zoom with me, that was the expert in the area, kept saying, "Oh, I think we lost Jim. I think we lost Jim. It looks like it froze." They thought my screen froze,
Hmm.
and I froze, and it was almost as, yeah, I had a hard time breathing. I couldn't communicate, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because you mentioned protecting your space in
Yeah.
your field and keeping that taken care of, essentially protected. I didn't do that. One of my friends who's an angel intuitive had said there was an attachment that took place and it's still there. And I was just like, come on. I thought she was full of, pardon me for saying, I thought she was full of shit.
Yeah.
It's like, no, there's nothing's attached to me. But I'll tell you what, until she did a clearing for me, I laid on the couch. And that is not, that's not me. If anybody knows me, I'm not somebody that's just going to lay on the couch and especially in the middle of the afternoon when there's so many things I need to do. But it hit me. And again, that's why I brought that story up, is because you mentioned the protection. And I think it's very important. And I feel that it's something that's often overlooked because we just go out and about our day and don't think twice about it. And I know this might be something that you might not be prepared to discuss, but is there something that quickly that you can say,
Oh, yeah.
okay, this is what we need to do when, because you're mentioning everybody that's on this, that's watching or listening to the episode or the show is a bright light and therefore susceptible to something like that happening. And I want everybody to be safe and protected. So can you
Absolutely. Oh,
help
for
us out a little
sure.
bit?
Yeah. So
Okay.
there's a couple things. It's funny because my daughter, she's 21 and she just told me that last night. She's like, Mom, when was the last time you did a clearing on me? Because I'm feeling funky. I'm feeling really tired. And every
Really?
time I do a clearing on her, it's like night and day. She has a lot of
Mm,
energy. Like you said, you feel like, and she is a bright light. She is an empath. She's highly sensitive. So she picks
mhm.
up, she attracts wayward souls or the earthbounds. Um,
Wow.
just because they love her. It's like plugging into an energy field too. You'll feel fine 1 second and drain the next minute. So the
Mm,
quick technique that you can do, the quickest technique is ask Archangel Michael. He's the protector. He's the archangel who protects us. He's the closest to us. So you can
mhm.
just say, Archangel Michael, shield and protect me. Shield and protect me.
Okay.
Cobalt blue, that's the color of what's called the first ray or the first flame, where Master Almoria and Archangel Michael and Faith, his counterpart, and Hercules and Amazonia, they're in charge of what's called the first flame, which is a ray, which is a flame that burns. We have different energies that burn, that are. It's basically an energy that can help us,
Mhm,
and that first ray is cobalt blue. And there, for every ray, there's an ascended master or an archangel who's assigned to those rays to be able to help people. So the first ray is the one for protection. It's the one for the will of what they call the will of God. Um,
mhm.
it's for having discipline. But the main thing would be to protect yourself. So
Protection. Right,
Master
right.
Amoria and Archangel Michael is on there. So you can call upon, you can imagine yourself in cobalt blue. You can center, ground, and protect all at once by taking a few deep breaths, because you do want to
Mhm.
center and ground. 70% of physical and emotional toxins are released through that deep exhale. So
Hmm.
when you're doing that, that's why it helps. Well, it moves from also the sympathetic to the parasympathetic. So
Parasympathetic. Right, right.
the fight or flight into the rest and digest. And we are wired to go to the stress and the
Sure we are. The
right.
sympathetic is
Yeah,
ready to
that's
roll at
sympathetic.
all
So
times.
doing those few deep breaths in the morning not only will center and ground you,
Okay.
then imagine this beautiful white light above your head, entering your crown chakra, going into your
Mhm,
heart space. And I like to have it go all the way down my spine, out my feet, into the ground, into Mother
mhm,
Earth, pulling it back up, having that beautiful grounding energy back to my heart space, and then expanding it beyond my energy field. And I'm enveloped in this beautiful white and gold bubble of light. And my
okay.
intention is, and this is what I do before every reading, my intention is I only allow the highest of light beings in and around my energy field. And the negative energies, believe it or not, have to obey this. They have to obey this.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, so when you're saying, "I only allow the highest of light beings in around my energy field," that you're setting that intention, but you have to do it routinely. This isn't a one and
Mm.
done. I do it in the morning. I do it before every reading. I do it before I enter a space of a large population, like a mall
Right. Right.
or
Right. Right.
store.
Yep.
And one thing too that I want to make sure, a discarnate soul or an earthbound or uncrossed or wayward spirit, that they all mean the same thing. It's
Hmm.
basically ones that haven't gone to the light. They aren't negative per se. So they can still be in your energy field. So one of the things that I always recommend too is to say disconnect and have people disconnect from other people's
Mm.
energy, because energy strands attach to people. Someone thinks
Yeah.
about you,
Little
you think about
tentacles.
someone,
Yeah.
right? These strands go
Mm.
out and attach to other people, which can drain us, which can make us feel different thoughts as well. And then you also want to send all spirits back to their place of rest. That will also, the discarnate souls will be released, because you want to tell them you can't be here. This just happened to a friend of mine who's a medium. She's like, Connie, I'm feeling really funky. I feel like there's somebody around me. She said, who is it? So we sat there for a second and I said, it's a male. And we kind of worked through it a little bit and we figured out who it was. It was for one of my readings. She and my aunt Sherry get all my excess
Really?
readings. If I'm too busy and I'm not listening, they go to my friends who are intuitive and mediums. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I said, you need to make sure that you release the spirit. Tell them they cannot be in your energy field. So, because she started to feel that anxious feeling, the pressure on the
Yeah.
chest,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
it feels like you might be feeling it right, kind of feeling something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So she did, and she felt so much better. And she felt him trying to come back. She said, nope, I told you, you have to go back to your place of rest. I release you. You can't be in my energy field. So there's no right or wrong in this. To
It
sum
just
this
has to
up,
be done.
it just has to be done. Yeah. You
Yeah.
can pick the easiest. That's either call on Archangel Michael or just do
Hmm.
the centering and the grounding, where you do the bubble of light and place yourself in a bubble of light. I only allow the highest light beings in around my energy field, sending all spirits back to their place of rest. I now release you. So those things I just kind of want to summarize, because we talked about a lot. I didn't want to
Hmm.
overwhelm, feeling like, oh my gosh, that's so much to do. Right.
Writing everything down feverishly. Yeah.
I know,
Yeah.
geez, oh, Pete,
Yeah.
again. So and you can't do it wrong. It's all about intention. And the thing is, whatever energy we're giving off, we give right back, right? So if we're giving off fear, we're going to get more fear-based experiences. So when we're
Boomeranging right back to us.
boomeranging, so when we're standing in our power and we're like, yeah, you're not allowed here. I feel you. Yep, you gotta go. I only allow the highest of light beings in around my energy field. You're claiming your space.
Cool.
You're claiming it.
No,
Hopefully
I
that
love that.
helps.
Yeah, very, very much so. And I know, like, so Pat Longo would say surround, ground, and shield. And I was like, surround, ground, and shield. So it's kind of what you're talking about. And somebody had said surround, ground, and shine. And and she said, what the hell's that going to do against something that's so negative? You're not going to shine them away. You do have to shield yourself from negative energies. And I think what you were talking about is essentially how you do that.
Yeah.
And it's not like put them up, shield. It's nothing. There's nothing but positivity. There's love, God's white light coming in, surrounding me, protecting me, and the Archangel Michael, the cobalt blue. So that's one of those things that I'm always amazed by someone else's knowledge. And this is what we had talked about before. I could talk about this all day long,
Me
because
too.
it's like, oh, cobalt blue. Oh, what's cobalt blue? What's the significance of that? So I've got a few questions I'd like to get to, if you're cool with that. So I love talking about those types of things, especially if we talk about rabbit holes, and I'm really quick to go down a rabbit hole, especially when it comes to protection, because of what happened to me. I really don't want that to happen to anybody else, because it took about 3 days for me to kind of get back to normal, whatever normal is for me,
Wow. Right.
my normal. But it did. It took that long, and I kept, my friend Heather was just like, you got to stay vigilant in this, and you have to keep saying these things, and don't think that you're impervious to this sort of energy from somebody else. And I just said, well, I did think that, we're at a distance, right? We're not in the same room. You're not going to be able to do anything like that. And boy, was I wrong, for something. You think you have to be in that exact room with somebody else for something like that to happen. And I'm here to tell you, you don't.
I know. And thank you for sharing that, because I feel like people, especially someone like you who are interviewing all these different types of people, it's really important to be aware. And I always say it's not to fear. There's nothing to
Hmm.
fear. I've never
Right.
like I know we talked about this before, but as a kid, I didn't fear spirit. Told the story before about running up the stairs because when I was
Right.
laying on the couch, and then I came downstairs and my mom said, "What were you doing?" I said, "Didn't you see that headless person? It was running up the stairs." She said, "No, but I'm more concerned that you ran after it." I said, "It was going in my room. It's not allowed in my room." But
Right.
it's
I
having
love
that
that.
energy of no fear, because then it can't, because it's just an energy. Everything is energy. And thank you for bringing that up too, Jim, because the more that you build your energy, when you do this daily, it
Hmm.
builds and it builds and it builds and it builds up to where you just become a clearing force. You go into a space and it clears the room automatically because you're doing it, you're walking it, you become such a bright light that you're just naturally clearing the space because your energy field is so strong. It's like think of working out, right? You build up those muscles and you're so strong, you can lift just about anything. There's no difference between your physical world and the spiritual world, just like your gifts. Your gifts are like a muscle, you have to work them.
Right.
Same thing, right? You
Right.
work them every day to be able to get stronger with your gifts. Everybody can develop this. Everybody
Hmm.
can do this. The only difference between me and other people and some other people, but there's so many people who are realizing their gifts and their talents and realizing that, oh my gosh, I'm not crazy. I'm not hearing voices. This is spirit. Like you said,
Right.
this
Right.
is actually spirit. And the ones I feel who have schizophrenia, they're just open to all of the energies. So they're hearing the positive,
Right.
they're hearing the negative, they're hearing both because they're so gifted. And coming from that space of like, wow, this person is so gifted. Now let's work with the person to develop their gifts and teach them how to get the negative out.
You just hit on something that was very important in my mind. It's so uncanny to me, that connection, seriously, because I was just thinking about that person that where I got hit with that negative energy and
Mhm.
the attachment, because I had asked who his mentor was, and he said he didn't have any, and he learned it on his own and was taught from the being. And I was like, huh. And then I even said, or actually, uh, my my friend who was along for the ride said, well, do you channel both positive and negative, or or well, let's just say good and evil? And he said, yeah, yeah. And he goes, it doesn't matter. He said that he channeled Satan or something like that, and I was just like, holy
There
shit.
you go.
But here's the thing: he didn't have anybody teaching him or explaining and mentoring him. Okay, so yeah, you're going to have some of these energies come in, but this is what you need to do to protect yourself. And then this is what you need to do afterwards to clear yourself. Didn't have that. So it could have been 10 conversations or 10 sessions deep and still had all these residual things. And the way that I equate that is like patient zero for an epidemic or a pandemic, because you don't know and you keep infecting the next person, because that person is going into it thinking, you've got my best interests in mind and at heart. You're not going to do anything like that to me. And that person may not be doing it intentionally, but you know what I mean? That residual effect.
Yeah.
And here we go with a rabbit hole again, because
No,
I just
no.
started thinking about that.
Yeah. So totally. And that's where, when you protect yourself, and if you feel something is off, it is. Trust your gut. Most people say,
Yeah.
oh, well, they seem like a really great person. So, and you really have to trust your gut on this. Everyone is intuitive. And when I say trust your gut, that's part of being clairsentient. It's feeling. You can feel like something is off, right? Or you might just be like, feeling something like, I don't know. But you nailed it, Jim. It really is. It's protecting yourself. And like you said, and the thing that we have to look at is there's no good or bad. When we start labeling things as good or
Right.
bad, right? Then we start judging, and really we're just having an experience. You had to go through that experience to be able to understand, wait a minute, there's something more. How did this happen?
Right.
Why did this happen? So your experience is going to help millions. It's going to help so many more people because of what you had gone through. There's also a great book, if anybody is really struggling with energies. It's called Spiritual Clearings by Diana Burney. I got certified to do spiritual clearings through her. That's how I found out about all of these. My book has a little bit, I just have a brief, quick clearing in there. And it will clear a lot, and doing it repeatedly will the more you do it, again, it's the same with your energy field. You want to clear your environment too, because your environment, especially if people have been depressed, people are going through kids, teenagers bring in a lot of energies.
Yes. Yeah.
They bring in a lot of spirits. So clearing those, and plus the emotions and the hormones. People who are struggling with their job or struggling with depression, people who are going through divorce, all of that adds to energy in your environment, which adds to the energy of how you feel too. So you want to clear your house as well, and not just you, because it can be in the house. That's what happened to me. That's how I found Diana Burney.
Yes. I think I look at it this way too. With you had the benefit of someone who loved and cared for you, as I would assume that she was probably a mentor with your mom.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? So that's where I look at it from, and this is one of the questions that I wanted to ask about it, is because you really didn't discover mediumship. You were born into it, and your mom is an intuitive, and her father before her, which is something. But I'm wondering, was that gift a burden to you, or when you were a child and growing up, or did it feel like a privilege or pressure, or both at the same time?
So when I was younger, obviously I did not appreciate it. I mean, my friends appreciate it because they would come over and they would ask my mom, does so-and-so like me? What's this boy thinking about me? And I did the same. So my mom would always say, well, why don't you check in and figure it out? I'm like, but it's so much easier when you do it. So she would,
Sure it is.
She would try to get me to do it, which she did. It was really difficult concentrating, more so now as an adult. It's even 100 times more, especially with this veil being so thin. I've noticed the whole ADD, ADHD has gotten like magnified, right? It was really difficult growing up. And there was a time, plus to me, this was a normal. So I kind of was like the weird kid, because I I think everybody's household should be like this, or everybody should talk about their guides. And my mom always connected with guides and angels and talking about her galactic guide and different guides who she connected with. So that was my normal. Healing energy work was her normal. And I had a job when I was 16 at Murray's Auto Parts, and there was someone who I really looked up to.
Shout out to Murray's Auto Parts.
Yeah, there you go. I don't think they're even around animore, but I don't know, but they were back then. That was, yeah. And I really looked up to this gal who worked there. She just was, beautiful, and she was smart, and she was funny, and she just was like, she was a little older than me. And she came in one day and she's like, oh, I got this really bad headache I can't seem to get rid of. So I'm like, oh, no problem. Let's go upstairs. We go up in the bathroom. I'll take care of this. So here I am in the, I got my hand on my hand on her head, and I'm pulling in the energy, and I'm doing this energy work. This is before I even got certified in Reiki. I just was doing energy work on her. I'm pulling things out. I'm doing all these things, putting it back in. Because anytime you take energy out, you have to put back in what you want in there. Right. Just a pro tip there. So doing some energy work, and she kind of really freaked her out. Our relationship was never the same after that. So
I can see that.
I quickly, I shut it off. I didn't really say much to people unless they were my close friends, people who knew me, who would come over to the house or something like that. They knew, but other than that, but yeah. So some people, when I was growing up, it affected some of my relationships, like with families, because they weren't open to this at that point, and people feared it, thinking it was the devil. But I only work with the light. I only work with the light. I only want healing, loving, inspirational, motivational messages. That's my intention. And anything else is not welcome. So if it's coming through to me and it's getting through to me, it will only be the light. But I've had to let people go out of my life. Yeah. Because I'm like, if you can't, this is me. This is me. I want to help people. Yeah. I love helping people. And so, yeah. So it did affect some relationships, but not many. Not many. Most people liked it.
I had I guess somewhat similar situation. When I was a PADI certified diver and was going to be a dive instructor going through the programs. And in one of the open water dives that we brought the class out to, I got sinus squeeze is what it's called, where you start to get that sinus headache. And it can be pretty painful, like somebody putting a drill bit trying to go through your forehead. And one of the guys there, he happened to be a Vietnam veteran, Navy SEAL, who was spiritual. And this is well before I had any recollection of this. And he said, you know what, I can fix that for you. And I said, oh, okay, Tommy, whatever. Sure. And he goes, no, I can fix it for you. And he gave me some crystals. And I forget what it was. Maybe one was like a red granite and there was something in the other. He said, put this in your left pocket and put this one in your right pocket. And I said, okay. And he started moving his hands around my head and like up and out and like waving it off. And he was doing that around my head. And people behind me were like going, look at Jim. Oh, he's messing with Jim. He's messing with. And I went from that little, sly giggle, sure, this is crazy, to that blank, holy shit. He just did something to me and he fixed it like that. Like maybe 5 seconds of doing that. I was like, holy shit, Tommy, what did you do? He goes, I was just adjusting your aura. Your aura was off, and then that was causing that blockage there. And it was just like, holy shit. And then, some of the owner of the shop that I was working for said, did that really happen? Or were you freaked out and wanted him to stop? And I said, no, that really happened. He goes, holy shit. And just walked away. But yeah. So I've been on the receiving end of what you did. but it worked. It
Yeah.
worked.
Yeah.
Very
It
cool.
can, and that brings up another point too that I think people need to be aware of is the Clair sentient, especially with these kids coming in
Mm.
feeling everything. And of course, if, making sure if you ever feel like you have symptoms, go get them checked out. But being a medium and being clairsentient, I feel everything. I will feel from loved ones on the other side. I will feel from the sitter or the who I'm reading, and I
Hmm.
will feel and loved ones who they're connected to as well. That's part of how spirit communicates. That's part how loved ones start to communicate.
I love that.
Like if I get dizzy, that's somebody who something with the brain, Alzheimer's, dementia, stroke, MS, anything with the brain cancer. If I get a sharp pain in my head, that's an aneurysm, can be a stroke
Oh,
or a
wow.
blow to the head. If my heart will hurt, like literally like I'm having a heart attack. It literally will have stabbing pains for somebody who had a heart issue. Cancer, my
Gosh.
stomach gets really upset. If there's somebody who had cancer, I will feel it in my body. If people had an issue like an amputated leg, my leg will go numb.
Get out of here.
Yeah. So I want people to understand this because there's so many people who go get tested for things and they can't find anything wrong with them. And when I deliver the message, the pain goes away. The heaviness goes away. It goes
Whoa.
away. Or when we figure out who it is, like I'll say there's a female and I'm getting really dizzy. She had something with the brain. It feels like a mom figure and it can be, mom, grandma, whatever. But yeah. So I
That's
just want people to be aware of that.
incredible. So I've heard that, and I think that what is it? Your spiritual sign, your guidebook or whatever library, your sign
Yes.
library,
Yes.
where you take note of those things and you build your library, so you can then ask that person, "Hey, did you have somebody that blah 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 was affected by when you feel that in your heart issue? Did you have somebody that had something going on in their brain or something?" Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? Here's the thing. Sometimes people will think, "Oh, well, sure, you're going to come up with somebody like that." No, no, not necessarily. That's not you grasping at straws when you say those things, because what you're talking about is one of probably a string of things that follow that. You know what I mean? When you say, "Oh,
Yes.
there's this, and then there's another, and then another," versus something is going to happen to you today.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
okay, great, yeah, thanks, I got
Yeah.
you.
I don't do any of that. Unless it's something good. I don't want to see anything that's going to happen unless I can help it or something. But yeah,
Right.
but no, you're right, Jim. And that's a great thing to bring up because in my readings, they bring up a lot of what's called validating information. And it's validating that it is them or whose side they're on. So if it doesn't resonate right away, like I'll say there's a female, with something with Alzheimer's dementia, they may give me an
Hmm.
initial, they may give me a name, but that could be someone connected to them. They'll
Ah,
start
gotcha.
bringing up different things, like things that you have of theirs. They'll bring up,
Mm,
they love to bring up different things that you have of theirs, or attributes about them. So there's no way, even if I did just say, oh, there's a female who had lung issues and she was on
hmm.
oxygen. It feels like a mom. And they're like, yeah, that's my mom, but it could be that. If they still don't believe it, that's okay because they'll bring up more
Right.
information that they
That's right.
know they're watching.
That's
Then
right.
they will bring up things that they're doing, foods they're eating, TV shows they're watching, people who you're communicating with. That's how you know it's your loved one. They've never left you. They see everything that you're doing. And I
That's
love when they do
incredible.
that. Yeah.
It
It's
really
it's
is.
it's part of it. And sometimes, like with me, because I do large events, so I do a lot of readings all at once. My readings are the same way. So some with me they do what's called bombarding. You might have a mom figure come through and then another mom figure come through on the other side, like a mother-in-law,
Hmm.
and then a grandma and this. And then once I acknowledge them, then I can usually get more messages. And sometimes they'll go one at a time, but usually they're ping-ponging and bringing a
Well,
bunch of people in at once.
you did something when we spoke the other day about, um, yeah, like a pocket knife, a knife, and I was just like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah, and I
And it
said
was,
it,
I was
they were
sitting on my,
showing me the
yeah, it was a knife, and it was
from your
this knife. It was
grandfather.
on my desk, yeah. So I was just like, okay, there you have it.
Yeah, and the
um,
flag too, because your grandfather. I
yes,
said, was he in the
yeah, right,
military? Because he's showing me a flag. That's my
yeah,
symbol for
yes,
having a flag from somebody
yeah.
being in the military.
The Navy. He was a naval officer, so yeah, for sure. Um, there's something that I want to cover too that is your name. And so let's talk about Warrior of Light. And I know I already mentioned this in the beginning, but uh, Connie is a black belt in karate too. So um, yeah, I'll keep that in mind. So the warrior identity really isn't metaphorical to you. It's really embodied by you. And I know we talked about it, but I'm going to hit it again. And is what are you actually fighting? What do you have to fight? And what are you protecting people from when you show up in that role?
I love that question. Fear and darkness, because we're all fighting fear and darkness every single day. The moment we
Mm-hmm.
open our eyes in the morning, we fight that. We have to fight that. So for me, fighting the I have to get up. Like last night, I didn't get my yoga in, so I did it at 10 o'clock last night, and I did my
Wow.
45 minutes of yoga, and it's being your own warrior. And I feel like if I can help people be their own warrior of light, and they can dispel the fears and move from fear to love. That's why I wrote my book, is because
Mm-hmm.
I really want people to understand how much control they really do have
Right.
by shifting your energy, by bringing in that light, by by trusting and having faith, going to the love part. That is where that name came from. And yes, I love to kick butt physically and spiritually. Absolutely. Nothing like a good roundhouse to someone. You know what I'm saying?
Roundhouse your ass.
That's right.
Reminds me of Step
Same.
Brothers.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Gonna roundhouse your
Yeah.
ass.
But even the darkness,
Yeah,
you gotta be aware. Don't fear it. There's nothing to fear. If you the moment you start
yeah,
to fear it, just like anything, it's going to control you. You
yeah.
have the ability to control your life. You may feel like you don't, but I'm here to tell you that's what my book is about. It's about my story, even though it's Angela's my story, but
Mm-hmm.
of overcoming the fears, moving through them, being that warrior of light. Everybody has it. We all have it in us. We just have to trust.
So that's something that's kind of sad to me is that we wake up having to fight fear. That negative, sad. It makes me sad to think that here we go. We're waking up and we gotta battle this. But you're right. You're absolutely right. And the interesting thing about that to me is with fear, let's say fear, hate, shame, those are all very low frequencies and vibrations. Like, why are they so powerful to people? What's got the hold on people with those low vibrational frequencies?
Great question. It's called life lessons. They're
Mm,
all life lessons. Earth, to me, is just a big school for our soul to grow, right? So we're a place on
yeah.
this earth, this duality. We have the light, the dark, the good, the
Hmm.
bad, the happy, the lows, and learning and understanding that if we look at what Dr. Wayne Dyer used to always say, right? Change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. And if I look at something as this person just said that, why did they say that about me? Oh my gosh, and I internalize this shame, um, and feeling guilty are the lowest vibrations. They did a study on the vibrations or the frequencies of emotions, and shame and guilt are lower than hatred and rage. So people who are feeling guilty, even though they may feel, well, I'm okay because I don't have all this, I'm not feeling anger or hatred. I'm sending the love. But a lot of empaths hold a lot of guilt and a lot of shame. Learning how to forgive yourself and understand that everything is a life lesson. This isn't personal. It feels very personal. But when we can lovingly detach, which is one of our life lessons, not taking things personally is a life lesson. Learning how to trust and have faith is a huge life lesson. Forgiveness. So we're placing all of these experiences on this earth school, all these tests, and we're placed with all these crossroads all throughout the day to be able to, we get to decide which way am I going to go with this? Am I going to go to fear? Am I going to allow this person to control me? Am I going to allow this energy to affect me? This person, what they said to literally lower my vibration?
Right.
Or am I going to rise above that? And when I say rise above, I am not diminishing people who have been through a lot of trauma.
Sure.
And I want to be very careful about that. That's part of the guilt and the shame, though, of trying to work through that. And even grief. I always say, grief, maybe let's try not to get over grief. Let's try not to get over trauma. Let's try to work through it, because what we resist, we persist. So when we keep trying and fighting to overcome something, and I don't like the word surrender either, because surrender to me, I think of waving the white flag and I'm giving up. But what if we allow, and we just allow ourselves to feel a certain way and then release it and be like, okay, I feel this way. I allowed myself to feel this way. And now it's okay to let this go, because everything happens for a reason. Whether someone was a drug addict, somebody did some horrible things when they were younger, somebody may not have been the best parent. Any parent's going to feel like they could have done better, right? They could have been a better wife. They could have been a better husband. They could have been a better brother, sister, whatever it is. If we look at this and think all of us had to go through this experience for our souls to grow, it was here to help us, to help me understand, to forgive someone. And, this hit home for me. I was years ago when I used to watch the news. This was decades ago. I don't watch the news just because it's just, for me, I hear something negative and I can't get it out of my head. I'm like, oh goodness. But anyway, the one thing that I did here, I was actually walking through the living room and it stopped me in my tracks. There was a person who was being sentenced. And there was a grandmother who was there. He had brutally raped and killed this woman's granddaughter. I didn't hear the whole story. I just heard the ending of it. And the judge said, does anybody want to say anything before I give my sentencing? And the grandmother stood up and she said, I do. I'm expecting her to give it to him and
right. Yeah.
She grabbed his hand and said, I forgive you and I love you. And I don't think she knew this person. I think this was a random, from what I'm not 100% sure. I started bawling. What a great, I could never do that. I could not.
No.
I couldn't do that. The black belt in me would want to, whatever,
right. Yeah.
And at the same time, talk about a saint. She understood. She was looking at this at a higher level. And I just thought that was such a great, now looking back, she learned her life lesson of forgiveness, unconditional love, and realizing she's not judging it as good or bad. She still loved him, because who knows what he went through that caused him to be, right? So she's not judging.
Like that. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not saying.
That's amazing. It really is. And I get what you're saying. And I wrote down a couple of different things when you were talking. Soul contract and life lesson,
Karmic.
same. Allow versus surrender. That's huge, because to be perfectly honest with you, surrender, I understand the concept of it, that surrender to the outcome, let go of, and surrender. And this is from being the athlete and competitor and everything that I've been my entire life, means quit.
Right. Said me
and you
too.
don't quit. You do not
I'm not
quit.
surrendering.
No, never surrender. And
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of, it's ingrained in me. But to allow something means that you're opening up to that other possibility. You're allowing for that possibility to come in and kind of wash over you, or whatever you want to finish that. You allow something, or you allow, finish it with whatever, is a much more palatable way to look at it for me. And that's the first time that I heard that. And I appreciate you saying that, by the way.
Yeah,
It was
me
very good.
too. Well, people kept telling me, just surrender to this. I'm like, oh, every time I would say it, my body would resist it. And I
Mm-hmm.
thought, well, why is my body resisting it? And it's the same thing with grief, right? We try
Mm-hmm.
to we're trying to
Stuff it
um,
down.
stuff it down. And it's like, just feel it, because your loved ones on the other side, they're happy. They don't want you
Yeah.
to be feeling grief, or they know you miss them. But that's why I love the readings, because it shows that they're watching everything that they're doing, because they will bring up things that they're doing on a daily basis. But the karmic and the soul contract is really important to understand, because to me, I feel everything is quote unquote karmic, since I feel
Mm-hmm.
Earth is just a big school for us to learn and grow. So before we incarnate here, we pick 1 or 2 or 3 life lessons that we want to learn. Some people come in with a bunch of them, like maybe
Mm-hmm.
some really big ones, which feels like that's why it feels like so many things are going on. And also those seeds get planted, those feelings get planted, which bring in more experiences that also cause these feelings, until we start to work through it. And we start to work through it and overcome it. We don't need those experiences anymore. When they do show up, it's just like a little blip in the road. But all of
Mm-hmm.
these people who we have soul contracts with, right, where they agree they're part of our soul group, like all of the people who I've been at odds with, or my exes, they looking back now, I'm like, wow, I could actually see. I'm so grateful for the connection and for
Right.
that experience,
Yeah.
because they helped me. Like my ex, he helped me learn so much. He helped me learn patience, forgiveness, unconditional love, um, learning that I'm not a victim. And a lot of empaths really need to learn to set healthy boundaries. They don't like to upset
Right.
anyone. They don't
No, you're
want
right.
to cause waves. They want harmony. So they try to push
Mm-hmm.
everything under the rug. But what they're doing, they're prolonging their life lesson. If they start setting these boundaries and saying, you know what, this is really what I need. This is what I need. Are you able to give it or not? And if the person isn't, that's okay. Because as we grow, that maybe that contract is done with that person.
Mm.
And so these energies, where we first got together, we vibrated at a similar level because we had to learn this lesson.
Mm-hmm.
And once we learn it, this person keeps working on themselves, this person doesn't. This disparity,
Right.
right, gets
Yeah.
so far apart that it becomes repelling to the other person. Like you don't even want to
Yes.
hear them breathe, right? It's like,
Yeah.
oh. And
Yeah.
all it is a difference in frequency. That's what
Yeah.
growing apart really is. And then we look at karmic. What's karmic? How do we know, like in that circumstance where that happened with remember I told you about the court case, about
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
how do we know in another lifetime that granddaughter didn't do something to him and this was playing itself
Correct.
out karmically?
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't know. So it's hard
No,
not to
we
judge as
don't.
good or bad when something like that happens. At the same time, we don't know what we don't know.
One of my favorite phrases: "You don't know what you don't know." You know what's? I was just, when you were talking, I was like, "Damn it, Connie! Damn it!" um, because again, so I was going to ask, for these life lessons or soul contracts, why is it that people just keep, let's just say that they're dating and they keep going after the same thing, and the same thing happens. You go, "Oh, this is different this time." Whap. "Oh, this is different this time." Whap. Again and again and again. And then you answered it, and I was just like, son of a bitch. I, I was, yeah, I know, what the hell. I was seriously wanting to ask that, and then asking about the soul contract being done, and then what happens. And it's, yeah, it's uncanny, really. And thank you for mentioning that, because that's an important thing. But I thought it was really important to talk about the karmic lessons and when things come to an end. So let me ask you, in your coaching and you're dealing with the people, you probably still have your one-on-one sessions with
Yes. Oh,
people.
yes.
Your
Yes. I
coaching.
still
Okay.
do one-on-one and in person as well. Yeah.
Okay. But how do you help somebody that's in stuck in that karmic rut or that soul contract rut? How do you help them or guide them to maybe get through that and go on to whatever their next lesson is,
Yeah,
or end their contract? How do you end the contract?
that's a great question. When people come to me and they're stuck, right? And this, when they come to me for a reading, anything can happen. I let spirit
Mhm.
rule, and spirit knows what the person needs. And that's my intention every single reading. So everyone can be different, each one from the next. And I will either incorporate some healing techniques,
Mhm.
uh, something where we look at their patterns. If you have the same type of person showing up in your life, whether it's a lover, whether it's a job, whether it's uh, a boss, a friend,
Mhm.
and these same types of personalities are showing up, you're attracting that energetically. It's like a magnet because there's a feeling inside, there's a seed that was planted that needs to be rooted out, needs to be pulled out, and a new seed needs to be planted. So first I look at the people's patterns. Let's take a look at where are you stuck. And they may say, well, I'm stuck everywhere. All right. Well, usually it boils down to one root. And when you clear that root, whether it's through figuring it out, shifting your energy, doing your forgiveness work, which I developed a technique for that, or doing
Of course you
the
did.
hypnosis, right?
Yes,
Hypnosis, the regression therapy, whether it's whatever it is, it depends on what the person needs and what the person is looking for. But the biggest key is first identify your pattern. So if the same person is showing up in your life and you have a hard time letting go because you're loyal, you're an empath, and you know this person is really just pulling you down and draining you. Let's just take a person as an example. And literally it's draining your life force energy out of you.
mm,
You
which
cannot seem
happens.
to, yeah, move forward. It's because you're trying to fight and stay in something that the contract is done. And when you try to stay and fight it, right, it gets stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. And then the universe ends up taking over. And when the universe does it, it's usually not pretty. It's usually not
Yep.
easy. So, and I'm not telling everybody to run out and go, separate or break up
Right,
or
right, right.
anything like that, because the first thing I do is I work on them shifting the energy within themselves. If they
For
can
sure.
shift the energy within themselves, with himself, herself,
Mhm.
then oftentimes people around them will shift and change because they've learned the lesson. That's what happened to me. Things start to shift and change around you because you learned your lesson. Most of the time it's moving past the fear. I had a huge fear that my kids, because after going through the divorce, that they wouldn't want to be around me. So what was happening? It kept stronger, stronger, stronger
Sure.
until I let go of that fear. And I said, you know what? Maybe I'm supposed to go around the whole world preaching spirituality. Maybe they are supposed to be with their dad. I'm okay with universe, with that, with wherever you want me, I will show up.
Mhm.
I literally said that. I said, I will show up. Just tell me where you want me. Everything should, it almost, something went like this and went like this overnight. When I let go of the fear, I let go of the
Wow.
control, and I allowed,
Mm.
right? Okay, I'm ready for this. I don't fear this anymore. I'm ready for this. What do you want me to do? I'm here. It ended up, yeah, my ex totally told the truth about everything. I didn't have to say a word after 4 years. And that's what happens though. And he is a great person too. He was helping me learn my life lessons. So I was never a
Mhm.
victim. That's the thing
Right.
too. I had to
Right.
learn how to set boundaries and I didn't, and to say what I needed. And I ran out of fear so much out of that relationship. That wasn't He was here to show me that. He put it right in my face. And what did I do? I just kept on rolling with it because it was my life lesson. So if I look at this now and I'm like, okay, this was my lesson to learn. Thank you so much because I learned it. I learned it. And once you learn it, it doesn't have power over you anymore. It can't control you. You now have controlled the outcome. And then if once you stand in your power and you're feeling great, you're empowered and you still feel like, okay, this isn't working anymore. I really feel unfulfilled. Now you're in a position to say, okay, it's either time to move on and make some changes.
Right.
But I usually don't recommend them right away until the person then looks at themselves and say, what is it that needs to be shifted and changed within you?
So not only is that insightful, I find it to also be brave because there comes a certain point in time. That's that leap of faith too, that, you know, the universe has got your back. And you've got your back too. I mean, you're a big part of the entire equation there. That was another damn it, Connie moment for me. So that was very cool. Again, thank you for that. I'm going to ask one more question and then we'll get to the musical questions. Actually, two. I lied. One is about your book. I know that you mentioned that your book is called Shift Your Energy, Change Your Life. But here's the tension I want to sit with for a moment with this. If everything is energy and intention and vibration, why does the suffering persist? And I know we talked about life lessons before. Is that really what it is? Because in my estimation, I start to ask this because there's some really beautiful, wonderful people that have to deal with a lot of shit here. And how do you hold that paradox without destabilizing everything that you teach?
There's a lot with that question.
Sorry.
No, this is so good because it, you know, even still when things happen to kids, like how, like why?
Yeah, innocence.
Right, innocence. Mm-hmm. And, you know, when it comes to kids, my first instinct is to protect. And even my own kids, right? But I have to understand too, they have to learn their life lessons. So sometimes I have to let go of some control, but I'm talking about like young kids, right?
Right.
I'm going to give an example of this. And one of my mentors, Reverend Diane out of Michigan, she was the angel lady known in Michigan. She's helped me along, obviously, with my mom, who helped me tremendously. But I was really struggling with the whole of the kids that there was a shooting, one of the first shootings. I don't remember which one it was.
The Columbine?
I think it was that one. And the reason why I was struggling so much is this is when I set my parameters or set my boundary with spirit, because I was receiving information ahead of time that I didn't know where it went. And it was about that shooting. And so I heard help. And I smelled and tasted lunchroom from the cafeteria from a school, pizza. And I heard the name Phyllis and I kept hearing help. So I went to my business partner at the time, you know, because I did corporate and this on the side for many years. And I said, hey, you know, I knew this was her sister. I said, you know, I think this is your sister. And she's like, yeah, she worked at the school. She worked at the lunchroom at the school.
Oh my gosh.
And she brought up a city, and I don't even remember what the city. It wasn't the city. I can't remember if it was the city where the person was from or where it happened. I don't remember, but I'd never heard of the city. We looked it up. She's like, Connie, I don't know what this city means. I said, I don't know either. 1 week later was the shooting. It was like 1 week later.
Oh my gosh.
And so I was so distraught because I'm like, why do I have this gift if I can't help people? Like, this doesn't even make sense to me. And so I told them I don't want to see anything ahead of time. If I cannot help it, if you're not going to give me enough information to where I can help it, I don't want to see it. But I really struggled with the guilt of, you know, these kids.
I can see that.
Yeah. So when I asked her, she said, there's a couple things. she saw these kids that came in with this rainbow energy, and they came out on this rainbow energy. And she said, Connie, these kids helped to learn a lot of life lessons. They agreed to do this. They had a soul contract to come in and do this because the outpouring and the love the community showed afterwards is really what the lesson was in this. And so that helped me shift the energy of my thinking a little bit, of that at the time. And it's so difficult whenever I have someone who's lost a child. I mean,
Oh my
right?
gosh, yeah.
Yeah. So, and the other part of this too is when people come through, and this is one thing I really want people to know. When you come in with a lot of things and a lot of trauma, you are also meant for some really great things. I have seen people go through so much trauma, but they had so much empathy for people who went through that they went on to be huge advocates and like helping millions of people.
Right. No,
I just
that's
got chills everywhere in my body.
so
But it's not for everyone to help a bunch of people. And I also feel that that's one of the reasons of why people go through things, is because they end up helping so many people. It gives it a purpose and not just something that happened.
Absolutely. And that's I hate to say the moral of the story, but the silver lining, because it's really hard to find a silver lining in something like that. I mean, it really is. You think, you're a sick bastard if you think there's too soon to think about silver linings. But what you're mentioning, there is a silver lining with that. And whether that be the unfortunate, deaths of such young kids, but other safety measures are then put into place to prevent that in the future. So different systems and things like that come into play. And it's sad that we need it. That's really the shitty part of all of this, is the fact that we need to protect innocence. That's just that's another rabbit hole. We won't go down, because that could be a 3-hour conversation in and of itself. Right. Yeah, absolutely. There are a couple of other things that I wish we had the time to go through, but one of them is because you have so many different certifications and education, very much kindred spirits as far as that's concerned, because I love to learn new things. But I'm curious as to what the angel harp practitioner is.
I love my angel harp. So again, Reverend Diane, my friend Diane, she's the one who introduced me to that. And we were talking one day, and she said something about her harp, her healing harp. I said, I didn't know you played that. What are you talking about? I'm expecting her to roll in this big, huge harp, right?
Yeah, right.
She brings in this little carrying case. She puts it on me. And when you play it one way, it actually pulls the negativity out of your body. And when you play it the other way, it restores all your chakras to the original vibration.
Get out. So it's an actual instrument.
It is an instrument. Yeah. It is. It has a little angel on it too. So that is, but the key is, here's the thing. We're here on earth to learn and grow for our soul. That's it. We're going to be placed in these experiences where we have to really dig deep. If you just didn't pay back, if somebody didn't pay you back $20, you could forgive that very easily, right? You're not going to learn a life lesson. Something like that experience, like I shared with you with the grandmother, that you got to dig deep. That's a dig deeper to learning that saint quality, Buddhist, Buddha pieces,
That's exactly what
all love, right? Exactly. Yes. So you really have to dig deep for these experiences. So the quicker that you can realize this, okay, this is a life lesson. How can I overcome this? What do I need to learn from this? And how can I move through this? Your soul has no time frame. You can go a whole lifetime without learning the lesson. There's no right or wrong in it. You just have to come back and do it again. And it's harder. My understanding, what they shared with me, is it's harder when you come back because you're not learning it. So you're going to get hit harder.
That's very, very cool. I know I've said this to you a few times now, but I absolutely love having you on. So thank you for being you.
Thank you, and same here. I totally feel the same. There are no mistakes. Every person in your life,
No,
right?
no.
We're all
Mm-hmm.
here for a reason, season, and a purpose is what I say. Sometimes
Love
those
it.
seasons are one season, sometimes it's multiple, sometimes it's a lifetime, but most of the time, a reason, season, and a purpose. So
It's good to remember that too. It really is. So are you good if we flip to our musical questions here? And we'll kind of hammer those out because I know we're
let's
running
go.
short on time.
Of course.
Well, so if is anyone who's ever watched or listened to the podcast, they know that we have a section that I have the opportunity to ask the guests some musical questions because I really do, and I truly mean this when I say it. I believe music is the tie that binds us all together, and that everyone has a soundtrack that accompanies their life if they just think about it for a second. So we're going to get started with this. And the first question is, what was the first song that you fell in love with from the radio, or you can remember saying, hey, I can't wait to hear that one again?
Definitely has to be my girl Dolly Parton, Coat of
Dolly
Many
Parton.
Colors. Yeah,
Yeah.
my mom would even say, right up until she passed, she would say, it didn't matter if Connie was sleeping, didn't matter if Dolly came on, she would raise right up and start singing.
I
And Coat
love
of
that.
Many Colors, it touched my heart and my soul because, she's just so pure. And it's a true story of them. She didn't really have anything, they weren't
Patching things
raised with,
together, right?
but yeah, but that meant more to her than what anybody could have ever bought her. And
Right.
that to me will always be my soul.
I love that. I do. And that brings back memories.
Yeah. Gotta have Dolly.
You kind of do. So what was your favorite song that you and your family, let's say that you were on a road trip or something like that, or a vacation, was there a song that you guys would belt out?
So my mom used to sing. I don't know if I ever shared that with you, but
No.
she used to sing before she got pregnant with us. Yeah. So
Like
she would,
professionally?
she didn't really, I don't know exactly where she played, but she would go do different things. I'm not exactly sure where. My mom was always
Oh,
singing, always singing.
that's cool.
And
That
yeah, I
is
don't
cool.
think I ever shared that part with you, but
Mm-mm.
Bobby McGee,
Ooh,
Janis
yeah.
Joplin,
Janice.
she would sing that song. She would belt that song out. So yeah, there's so many that we would sing because she used to sing. So,
I bet, yeah.
but that was one that I really remember I would say from childhood, that she would always release. There's multiple, but that would be the one that stands out.
That is that is a new wrinkle. And I love that your mom was a singer. And I know you said that you can't really sing, but I believe everyone can. And I mean that. Anyone can sing. It's, I guess it's just to the level of how well, but singing, that's something that makes a lot of people happy. It doesn't matter how good or how bad or whatever. It just makes them happy, and I love seeing that. That always puts a smile on my face.
Well, I do
So,
sing, Jim, real quickly, but
okay.
just so you know, let you in on a family secret. I am banned from singing Happy Birthday.
Get out of here. I
Yeah,
almost want to have you do it.
no, I know it's bad. Literally, my friend's birthday, just Nancy, her friend just passed, and when I called her to say happy birthday, the first thing she said, "Don't do it, don't do it, don't even do it."
Real? Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
yeah,
She
it's bad.
did you dirty. I don't
She
like
did.
that.
It's okay. No, it's all right.
That's awesome.
They're like,
Yeah.
we're good, Connie. You don't need to sing.
Yeah, don't worry about it. We got it. We know the
Yeah,
song.
my mom
That's
always said I
great.
was tone deaf.
Uh, well, okay. So what about in high school? Senior year of high school, you and your friends have the windows rolled down, rocking it out. What's your song or songs?
Senior class song was "Never Say Goodbye" Bon Jovi. which goes with the spirit world too. Never say goodbye. So I carried that on from senior till now.
That's great.
That's a good goodbye.
One. That's a real good one.
Because they're never gone, right? Even in the spirit world, they're always here. So never say goodbye.
No, and just a side note to that, even knowing that to be true, there's still some days that I get sad that they're not there, and it's every once in a while, because then it'll be like 5 seconds later, oh, hi, one of those things. And you start to have, I know people may think that you're strange having a conversation with someone who's departed, but you can. You really, truly can.
Absolutely. They want you to. I mean, I talk to dead people for a living, so nothing is strange to me. So,
which is awesome.
Yeah.
Which is so awesome.
They do want you. Thank you for sharing that, Jim. How many times in readings, especially when the people actually do it, like they'll say, treat me like I'm sitting right next to you in that chair that I always sat in, or driving next to you in the car, because I am. Talk to me like I'm here. And you'll start to hear them. You'll feel like you're making it up. You'll feel like it's your imagination. It is them.
But it is them. It is them. Yeah. So he's become a friend, and he was on the show and so on and so forth. Nick Lodato had said, he goes, your mom, I said, rides in the car with me. And he goes, yes. I said, I know. And he said, yeah. And she'll just reach over and grab your hand when he's like, do you feel that? And I was like, every once in a while, or I'll have somebody else that'll pop in. Hey, Jimmy, and I'll have that conversation. And thanks for saying that. That's good.
And you too, because it just validated what that message that you got earlier. And Spirit will have me say stuff as an example of things, but the fact that you guys talked about that is why it was brought up too.
Yeah, that's awesome. And again, it's not stopping. How about a song or songs with positive juices, something that gets you going in the, a rough time, to give you some extra energy on the day?
So if I want to get my day going, Dolly Parton again, Light of the Clear Blue Morning. Love that song. It just, I don't know what it is about that song, but I love it. But if I really want to get like a workout, or really want to get my vibe way up there, Eye of the Tiger, Survivor.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah. That's a good one.
We did.
How about guilty pleasure songs? Do you have one, or have a few?
Yeah. So I like all genres. And I would say there's a few, but one of them for sure, the kids always laugh, because every time they want to get me up or get moving or have a dance party, it's Pure Water. It's a rap song.
Okay. I'm not familiar. And hey, no shade thrown on any music, because I listen to all music. I really, really, truly do. And I just don't know that, but I'm sure I'm for sure going to do that. How about this one? What's a song that you believe could change the way people think or feel about the world around positively, if they just listen to the song's lyrics?
Gosh, there's a lot. Especially recently, the ones that I've been listening to. There's a couple, but the one is it's more of a spiritual song. Well, there's two. Shade on Her Sunshine is one. And there's just something about that song. I feel like the lyrics, if people are really struggling, can really help. And then the other one is it's by Len Spot, Spiritual Peace and Happiness. And that one really warms my soul. It just, when I listen to those lyrics, it just talks about, it's really about what it is. We all are the light and love, every single one of us. We all have the peace within us. We have to choose it.
Right.
We have to choose it.
Right.
Even though there's external circumstances going on in your world that you feel like you don't have control. Yeah.
That's
So
that was something I'm surprised we didn't bring up was, well, obviously there's free will and things of that nature, but choice, because when somebody says I had no choice, you always have a choice.
you always have a choice of your energy. You always have a
Yes.
choice of how you handle your energy. Absolutely.
So there's a Rush song called Free Will. If you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice.
I just got chills.
You will
Look at
choose
you.
I will choose free will. So that's interesting. Wow. Wow. That just keeps coming. Here's my favorite. My absolute
Yeah.
favorite. Sometimes there are songs that you hear that ring so true that they stop you in your tracks. The song's lyrics sound like they were written specifically for you or by you. What's that song?
Well, this would be my favorite too then, because when my mom passed, we had a celebration of life for her.
Mm-hmm.
And there were so many different things that occurred. There was a dragonfly that hung around the entire time where we had the party. And then we were walked out to the river and it was landing on our same type of one
That's so
was landing
cool.
on our feet and different things or landing on people. And more importantly, my mom did a lot of energy work. She could shift and change the weather. She could do different things. I mean, not like, but like temporarily.
Mm-hmm.
And she did a lot of energy work in this
Impressive.
circle that she had outside her house. 'Cause, she lives up north. In the day that we had the party, it was really, really windy, and we were supposed to spread the ashes in this circle. We were concerned about the wind, and then somebody had mentioned, "Well, Mom will take care of it. Don't worry, it's not going to be windy." I'm like,
Right.
"Yeah, yeah, that's so true." Sure enough, at the time when we were about ready to do it, the moment we entered the circle, the wind completely stopped. Spread the
Wow.
ashes, got out of the circle, and I think I even said, me or somebody else said, "Don't be surprised if the wind picks right back up as soon as we're done. As soon as
Right.
we're done, there comes the wind again." And
Oh,
it was supposed to rain all day that day too. It was 90 degrees, sunny all day. We're getting ready to leave. It starts raining. Everybody's
oh
done now.
goodness.
Starts to rain. So
Wow.
she's still working her magic from the other side. She was incredible. She would, if there was a natural disaster, she would send energy immediately. She would stay up all night sending energy to people and different things going on with working her energy. But more importantly, when on the way home, a song came on the radio and it talks about um uh it's called Sissy Song by, I think it's Alan Jackson. And
Mm.
basically it talks about a female who was taken up to heaven on angel's wings and left too soon.
Mm.
And she's saying, "Don't worry about me. I'm good. I'm okay." And we're bawling, right? We're bawling. We're all crying
Yeah.
because I had never heard this song before, ever.
Mm.
Not one time. More importantly, the name is Sissy Song, and that's my mom's name is Sissy. I've never heard that song again on the radio. I've downloaded it and I've heard it, that I play it on my playlist
Sure.
because it reminds me of her, and I've never
Mm.
heard it on the radio again.
My
And
goodness.
I'm sure it's being played. And I mean, I don't listen a whole lot, but I'm in my car a lot and I listen to the radio a lot then. And yeah, I've never heard it, but listening to those lyrics, and you talk about how this person was just, angelic and doing these
Mm-hmm.
different things and being carried off by angels' wings, and "Don't worry about me. I'm good." Like, it just really, that one stopped us
That's
in our
incredible.
tracks.
That
Yeah.
really truly is incredible. I love that. Your mom sounds like an incredible person too.
Yeah, she
Uh,
is.
Very cool. Well, it's just about time to cue the music for today's episode, but don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the Drop the Needle podcast to stay up to date on our latest episodes. I'd also like to take a moment to thank everyone again for tuning in today, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Drop the Needle podcast. And more importantly, I'd like to thank our very special guest, Connie Smock, for being on the show today. Connie, can you please let our listeners know how to get in touch with you? And if you have something going on that you want to promote, please, 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 let's hear about it.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, Jim. And thank you for having me too. I could talk about this all day. So yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't even
Same
get
here.
into traveling to other planets and doing all these other things.
God,
so
no. Well,
that'll be another one.
Yes.
That'll be another one.
Promise.
Yeah. So yeah, you can reach me by email, ConnieWarriorOfLight at gmail.com, or my website, ConnieWarriorOfLight.com. And I do different events. I will be near the Chicago area in May. We have May 3rd is St. Charles. May 4th is Elk Grove. May 6th is Woodstock. And May 7th is Elmhurst. And May 30th, I'll be in Michigan near Traverse City at Elk Rapids. Those are open forum psychic mediumship events. And with every event, I always interject not just readings individually, plus direct and indirect ones through threads, but I also interject motivation and tips for life. Whatever comes up is whatever spirit has me say is what will happen. And if somebody wants to sample it, April 27th, this is the first time I've ever done this, is I'm doing a Zoom live open forum. On Facebook, I do lives at least once a month for free. So follow me, Connie, at Connie Warrior of Light on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. But on Facebook, I do them free at least once a month on Mondays, once or twice a month. But I'm not able to actually call the person up and speak to them. Well, when I do the one on April 27th, that one will be through Zoom. That is on my website to check out as well.
I was just going to ask you if that was on your website, so people can sign up for it. And that sounded like it was reasonable too. Is there a max on that as far as the number of people that can sign up for it?
There's not a max, not right now anyway. It's a small, intimate group right now. It's a new thing that I'm trying. I
love that.
It's only $14.99, and I say only because if people can't afford a reading and they want some inspiration and they want a chance to get a reading, I mean, right now there's a smaller group, so chances are really good of getting a reading, but I don't have control over spirit, so I can't guarantee one person will get a reading. But I can tell you, with a small group, it's very likely.
It might not be so small now, so.
Right? I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. But I'll tell you what, I'm looking forward to you being in the area in May. I can't wait to see you and meet you face to face, and I'm so excited about that. And anybody in the Chicagoland area, you owe it to yourself. Let's put it that way. You owe it to yourself to come out and see Connie in person. So make sure you do that. And by the way, I'm going to make sure that I have all of your information in the show notes. And that includes your social media handles, as well as how to get the link to your website and everything else, as well as the playlist for today's episode, which is going to be very cool, by the way. All right, my Drop the Needle posse, like Billy Joel says, from the highs to the lows to the end of the show. This is the end of our show. Until next time, this is Jim Allstott wishing you infinite health, happiness, and the perfect playlist for your life. Thanks again for being the best part of us. Catch you next time.